Today we're talking about an actress who is way more than just a talented performer. She's become a symbol of something else entirely, resilience. This is the story of Han So-hee, an icon, a fighter, and yeah, above all else, a survivor.
Okay, so to really get Han So-hee, you have to understand the two completely different worlds she's living in at the same time. On one side, you've got the icon. We're talking global ambassador for Dior, GQ's Woman of the Year, just bold, versatile, unstoppable. But then there's the other side, the burden. Her private life getting dragged out for everyone to see because of a family scandal that honestly would have just crushed most careers. So how does one person juggle all that? Well, that's what we're going to break down.
So let's start with that burden, because to really get how she's triumphed, you first have to understand the weight of what she was up against.
So, not too long ago, news dropped that Han So-hee's mother was sentenced for running multiple illegal gambling spots for profit. And what really turned this into a huge story was the fact that, well, this wasn't the first time. The court pointed out she had a history of this stuff, which kicked off a total media frenzy that put Han So-hee right in the eye of the storm.
Her agency, 990 Entertainment, came out swinging. They immediately tried to draw a really clear line in the sand. Their statement was crystal clear. This was her mother's thing, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the actress herself. They apologized for the uncomfortable news, but the real message was loud and clear. Judge Han So-hee on her own actions, not her family's.
But this whole thing brings up a really important question. I mean, you might be thinking, okay, that's her mom's issue. What's the big deal? So why did this blow up into such a massive story in South Korea? Why was it seen as something that could actually damage her career?
And the answer really boils down to this cultural concept called familialism, or 가족주의. The idea is that an individual is seen as deeply, deeply connected to their family. Your reputation, your success, even your failures and shame, they're all seen as kind of a group thing. So a scandal that involves a parent can directly stain the public image of their child, especially a celebrity whose image is everything.
But here's where the story takes a turn. Despite all that intense cultural pressure, something pretty amazing happened. The public actually rallied behind her. You see comments like this one all over the place, from people who already knew her backstory, that she was raised by her grandmother and hadn't been close to her mom for a long time. The general feeling was pretty clear. She was a victim of her family's issues, not a part of them.
And you know what? That public support didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was something she had already earned. For years, Han So-hee had been building this public persona that was just authentic, fearless, and totally unfiltered, long before any of this family drama hit the news. Her whole survival story started way back. Can you imagine moving to a massive city like Seoul at 19 with only about $355 in your pocket? That's what she did. She worked these brutal part-time jobs like 12-hour shifts at a bar just to scrape by and pay rent while she was chasing this acting dream. This is not someone who had an easy ride. She built her entire life from scratch, and that kind of grit, it doesn't just build a career, it forges a survivor. And get this, throughout that whole chaotic journey, she's managed to stay incredibly introspective. She told a magazine that she writes in her diary every single day. She said, "My diary holds so much meaning to me, and I wouldn't be whole without it." It's pretty clear that's her way of dealing with all the pressure, of staying grounded, and just taking care of her own head in an industry that makes that almost impossible.
Now, a lot of people probably remember her from her pre-debut photos where she had all these tattoos. But her reason for removing them wasn't about trying to hide her past or anything like that. She explained it was just a practical, career-focused decision. She felt that having visible tattoos might be a disadvantage that could limit the kind of roles she could get. So it wasn't about erasing who she was. It was a smart move for her future. And really, it all just comes down to this. This quote from her GQ story says it all. "I don't really fear showing myself as I am, without any filters." That's it. That's her power. That raw honesty is why people connect with her. She isn't pretending to be some perfect idol. She's just her, and that authenticity has become her absolute greatest strength. And that very strength, that authenticity, it translated directly into her work, fueling this absolutely unstoppable climb. While her personal life was being picked apart, her career was just exploding.
And just look at the sheer range here. She exploded into a household name with the smash hit drama The World of the Married. Then she did a complete 180 and became this gritty action hero in My Name. Then she shows the soft, vulnerable side in Nevertheless, only to jump back in time to play a super tough investigator in Gyeongseong Creature. Every single role was like another defiant step forward, proving her talent was just not up for debate. So, after conquering TV and weathering a massive public storm, what could possibly be next, right? Where does an unstoppable talent like her even go from here? Well, the answer turned out to be bigger than anyone could have guessed. This is the ultimate victory lap. She was cast as the main female lead in the Netflix live-action version of Solo Leveling, which is one of the biggest entertainment properties on the planet. This wasn't just another job. This was a statement. It was global validation of her talent, a total triumph over all the noise and all the drama.
And look, if you don't know the series, you have to understand just how huge Solo Leveling is. We are talking about a true global phenomenon. The original webtoon has over 14.3 billion views. Billion with a B. The anime that just came out was a monster hit, becoming the most watched show on Crunchyroll. This is an absolute juggernaut.
And the character she's playing? It's almost too perfect. She's playing Cha Hae-in, the only female S-rank hunter in all of Korea, a character who is defined by her incredible power, her skill, and her independence. It's just a perfect parallel for an actress who has proven her own strength over and over again.
And that brings us right back to her own personal philosophy. In that same interview, she said, "I believe that everyone has both strength and vulnerability, and I don't think I'm much different." That's the core of her story right there. She doesn't see strength as being flawless. She sees it as having the courage to own both your strong side and your vulnerable side. And that's what makes her journey so inspiring.
So what's next? Well, Han So-hee herself would tell you she's still figuring it out. She says, "I'm still in the process of discovering what success truly means." And maybe that's the whole point of her story. Maybe success isn't some finish line you cross. Maybe it's just the ongoing, fearless, and unfiltered process of surviving, of growing, and of defining your life on your own damn terms.